Okay, so let's make a start. Thanks for joining today's webinar, What's Coming in SAP GRC 12.0. Just so you know you're in the right place, this webinar is focused on a review from SAP on the new release. Hopefully you can see the screen in front of you. If you want to enlarge the presentation, you can just click on the two diagonal arrows in the top right of the presentation panel. So if you've not joined one of our webinars before, just a very quick intro to Turnkey. We're a specialist consultancy focused on SAP GRC and SAP security, and we operate across 4 continents. We regularly run this webinar series where we invite guest speakers to talk about issues relating to risk management, cybersecurity and GRC, particularly where this relates to customers of SAP. So before I introduce our guest speaker today, just to let you know that we will be running a short Q&A session at the end. We are delighted to be joined by Chris Johnston of SAP. This is maybe the second or third time Chris has joined us. Presentations from Chris are always really popular, and today is no exception. Chris has worked at SAP for more than 12 years. He has over 20 years GRC experience and was one of the first people to be certified as a GRC professional by OSEG. He's now a VP SAP responsible for analytics, finance, risk and predictive analytics. He's also a father of three and a keen golfer. So today Chris is going to give us a preview on what's coming in the new release at SAP GRC. It's always a little tricky to time announcements around the new product launches, and some of the official news is still not available. However, having looked through the presentation already, I can assure you that there's a lot of detail that you won't have seen before. So, Chris, if you're ready, I'll let you take it from here.
Just to introduce you, my name's Chris Johnston, and as Greg mentioned, I've been at SAP quite a long time, always around GRC until the last couple of years when I broadened my horizons and started working in analytics and finance as well. Okay. And yes, as Craig mentioned, there hasn't been an official announcement of GRC 12. So this roadmap presentation was one I created for today. So this should be the first time that you hear some of this information. So whenever I first joined SAP, it was around 2005, and we came with a version 5.1 of GRC, or 5.1 of access control at the time. And over the years, we've enhanced it and the breadth of what we call GRC. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So let's get started. I have got quite a lot of slides today, so some of these slides I will go through quite quickly, but at the end you should get a good picture of what is coming in GRC 12. The first thing I have to do, because it's a roadmap session, is I have to show the legal disclaimer. I would say everything that I'm going to show is our intention and our plan, but it is not a promise. That's the standard comment whenever we've got a roadmap presentation. But having said that, a lot of the slides may say lab preview on it, but in reality it's a solution that's going to be released within the next couple of weeks. So it is a fully formed solution now, and it's only for legal reasons that some of these slides say that it's a lab preview. So let's get started. I don't really need to go through this slide. This is just telling us that we live in a very different world than the one 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. Everything's accelerating. Digital transformation is meaning that there is new opportunities and also new challenges for companies. There's new business models, people moving into cloud computing, shared service centers, a lot of hybrid models out there. With regards to regulations, there's more and more coming, and they're getting stricter and stricter. I think this year especially, a lot of companies are very, very concerned about GDPR. And GDPR is not an easy regulation to comply with. There's a lot of different requirements, and there's no one solution for it. But SAP plays a big part to answer the requirements of GDPR. And we do live in a world of quite shocking political uncertainty and instability. And all these things need to be managed by our customers. Now, whenever we talk about technology, we quite often use the term digital transformation. And we're talking about what you see on screen here: big data, a modern user experience, using predictive capabilities and cognitive abilities within the solutions, using robotics and machine learning, trying to get machines to do a lot of the work automatically that people had to do previously. New technologies like blockchain, different business networks extending into the ecosystem, and as I said, cloud deployments as well. So this is really where we're playing right now. This is the world that we're in. And before I jump into GRC, I just wanted to give kind of a picture of what I see as the opportunities. Up until a couple of years ago, I was purely focused on GRC, had very much tunnel vision. But what you see on screen now is something that I'm building as part of my new team called the Intelligent Enterprise. And it's based upon our latest platform, the SAP HANA platform, which comes with all these features that you see like smart data integration, smart data streaming, etc. The latest data services that we've got. On top of that, we've got S/4HANA and BW for HANA, which is our latest ERP and the business warehouse system. And within that, we've got certain functionalities like smart financial management, embedded planning and consolidation, central finance, etc. On top of that, we can see the dashboarding, the BI suite, and also the predictive analytics capabilities that we have within the solution suite. And on top of that, we've got the cloud options, things like the analytics hub or the digital boardroom. And what we've got on the right-hand side here is the governance, risk, and compliance. And I'll go through these: integrated and embedded 3 lines of defense, high-volume business integrity screening, regulatory compliance, continuous big data scanning, predictive fraud scanning, cyber threat detection with machine learning, enterprise master data governance, holistic tax compliance, global trade management, hybrid identity and access governance. So as you can see, there's a lot of things coming. Governance, risk, and compliance at SAP is much, much broader than it was in the past. But today I'm going to be focused very much on the core solutions of access control, process control, and risk management. But just to mention also, we've got the digital economy here, the Internet of Things, and there are a lot of use cases and a lot of people within SAP that are building integrations between governance, risk, and compliance, digital boardroom, Internet of Things, etc. And there's lots of potential that we can see moving forward whenever we combine all this together. So I just wanted to start with that, but really the focus of today is to get into the new on-premise release, which is due to arrive within the next couple of weeks. The GRC on-premise release. Recent innovations, starting from the left. I'm not going to go through these, but we have developed a cloud version of access control. It's called Cloud Identity Access Governance, and the Access Analysis Service has been available for some time. That's commonly known as IAG. And as you can see, under 2017-18 planned innovations, we've expanded that service scope to include role design and access request management. So essentially, we're matching on the cloud identity access governance solution what we have been able to do with access control for several years. We've also got a new solution around tax compliance, and we've got a new solution, a cloud-based solution for watch list screening. But like I said, the focus today is going to be on access control, process control, and risk management. That was what I was asked to present. So I'm going to start with old favorite. I'm going to start with SAP Access Control. The enhancements and changes are based around 3 areas: usability, integration, and process optimization. There's a lot of other functional changes that we've got, but I've had to reduce the amount to be able to fit it into the time today. But let's start with usability. We've got these things called persona-based launchpads. So as you are probably aware, SAP is moving everything towards Fury and the Fury interface. And here's an example of this. So for access control, we've now got a Fury front end. This screen is actually the catalog screen, so you can see here that you can choose what tiles to pin down. So you can see, or you can choose the front screen that you see on a day-to-day basis. You can always go in and edit it, move the tiles around, etc. So very flexible capabilities. This is for an access control administrator. We also can show a persona-based screen for an employee as well. There are some back-end screens that we could not put Fury in front of. There were some, for example, in this case, we're seeing the role design capabilities of access control, and we have not yet built a Fury front end for this, but what we have been able to do is build Fury-like user experience. So it should be a seamless experience for any user moving between true Fury and the Fury-like experience that we can see on screen as well. But the majority of the solution is now true Fury. The other thing we've got from a usability point of view are overview pages. So I've just taken a couple of screenshots here. If you were interested in access requests, you could see overview dashboards here. If you were more interested in firefighter activity, you would have a dashboard that was related to that, or role design, or access request management. You would be able to see very easily all the KPIs that are very much the important things for you. Now, moving beyond usability, I am going quite quickly through this, but very important is integration capabilities. So I'm going to start with this slide. This has been something which has confused a lot of people or worried some people, was the development of this solution called SAP Cloud Identity Access Governance. This is really a true cloud solution. It allows the access management and provisioning to things like SuccessFactors, Ariba, S4HANA Cloud, Concur, etc. And we still have the traditional SAP access control managing the on-premise applications. Now, in between these two, we've got shared data for the risk library, mitigation controls, mitigation itself, access request simulation, business rule simulation, etc. But the integration between these two things is now at a different level, where you can use SAP Access Control to do the analysis and the provisioning to on-premise, but we can use the IAG product as a kind of bridge, as a bridge concept. So we can integrate SAP Access Control with the SAP Cloud Identity Access Governance, and that will do the provisioning to things like Ariba, SAP SuccessFactors, etc. That's one of the first announcements, is the concept of the IAG bridge, and this should be available with the first release. The other thing with access control is we've enhanced the integration to SuccessFactors. So we've got event-driven lifecycle management. So as someone is added to SuccessFactors as a new hire, or they change the job or a position, or they're marked as terminated or retired, it automatically integrates with access control to generate requests for role changes, for example, and goes through the appropriate workflow to get the right approvals to be able to assign that access. The other thing we've developed is the rules and capabilities to do the analysis of both Fury applications and S4HANA on-premise applications. So you can see on the screen on the right-hand side here, we've got some of the actions for the systems here, which are related to Fury or S4HANA on-premise. So now you can do cross risk analysis across ERPs, across S4HANA, across the cloud applications as well. We've also developed with Access Control 12 Firefighter for the HANA database. So now you've got what used to be called Firefighter is now called Emergency Access Management, but we've got Emergency Access Management for the HANA database as well as for traditional databases. And we've enhanced the identity management integration. This is something that has been quite successful for about 10 years now, integrating identity management with access control. I think the days where we considered these as conflicting solutions are long, long gone, because there's huge advantages of integrating really the user management capabilities of access control with the employee management capabilities of identity management. And the other integration is, again, with SuccessFactors. It's the ability to do the analysis from access control of SuccessFactors Employee Central Payroll. This is something that has been added in a service pack to Access Control 10.1, so you don't necessarily need version 12 for this capability. The final thing I'm going to mention today about SAP Access Control is process optimization. It's now sitting on HANA, so there are a few benefits of that, such as the job optimization for user access reviews, optimization of the repository syncs and the LDAP syncs. I'm not going to go into much detail about these, but just to say that all the back-end jobs and tasks have now been optimized to speed up the capabilities of SAP Access Control. So overall, for access control, much simpler navigation and improved user experience with Access Control 12. That's with the overview pages to provide insight. We also have cloud identity access governance complementing access control on-premise to allow provisioning to both cloud applications and the on-premise applications. And we've got bi-directional integration with success factors to simplify access governance and automate user onboarding with the success factor system. We've extended the rules and the capabilities to be able to analyze new authorization models like S4HANA and Fury, and we've enhanced the emergency access management or firefighter capabilities to be able to analyze HANA database. And as it says at the bottom, access control extends now access governance across cloud environments as well. Moving quickly on beyond access control, I can introduce process control and risk management. These are solutions that have really increased in popularity in the last 3 or 4 years. It was always the case that access control was by far the most successful solution. But over the last couple of years, a lot of our early access control customers have come back and acquired process control and risk management to really to form the core of their GRC system. The main change for process control and risk management 12 is the visual harmonization to introduce Fury and Fury again look and feel to PC and RM. So what is visual harmonization? Well, the intention is to provide process control and risk management the users the latest and best user experience from S4HANA, which is, in other words, a Fury-like experience, which is in most cases Fury itself, but of course, like I mentioned before, there's sometimes a Fury-like theme where Fury was not possible. We also have Fury Launchpads. These are essentially roles which are delivered out of the box, 4 for process control, 3 for risk management, which are pre-delivered with version 12 of risk management or process control. And you can choose. So there are some people who still like to work in the NetWeaver business client, but it's an option to continue using that, or you can choose to use the front end. Quite often, people who are administrators or people who are setting up the system will continue to use the business client, but end users are likely to be using the Fury front ends for this. Now, that was kind of generic across risk management and process control. I just thought I'd pick a couple of new features within risk management. The first of those is workflow enhancements, delivery options and risk assessment workflows. I'm going to go through. So there has been a slight change for the delivery options for risk assessments. Before version 12, if you wanted to send an offline risk assessment, you had to select the option by survey and then choose a particular survey object to send. Now it is much, much simpler. You just simply say that you click a button saying via email, and it will automatically use the questions which were set up in the online version. So it's very, very simple to be able to run risk assessments or collaborative risk assessments using the tool now. We also have key risk indicators, manual entry workflow. So what we have within the solution is we have the ability to go in and manually add key risk indicator values within the system. We had no way of automating that. Now we do. Now you can send a form out to someone to say, please update the key risk indicator, and whenever they update it and submit the form, it will automatically update the system as well. And we've also got streamlined risk validation process from sending to receiving. So there was a The validation activity has been available for some time, since I think Service Pack 5 of 10.1, but it required multiple steps to be able to do. And this new enhancement has meant that we have simplified the process. And also what we've done, what we've done is we've made it possible that if you have to validate multiple risks, you don't get multiple items in your inbox. You get one item and you can go through it and be able to validate multiple risks at one time. We also added risk aggregation. So there has always been the ability within risk management to do risk aggregation of corporate risks, but now we've added the capability to be able to do the risk aggregation of operational risks. So in other words, if you have defined some underlying risks within any of the major risks within the system, it will automatically do that risk aggregation for you to be able to identify whenever a combined risk is looking like it's hitting a threshold. And here's the activity validation enhancements that I mentioned before. Moving quickly on to process control, we've got a couple of changes here as well. So the first of those regards standalone rules. I've got a slide that maybe is going to explain this in a little bit more detail. But we've got a huge amount of functionality around process control doing continuous control monitoring. The process was simply you defined the data sources and the business rules, as you can see in the left-hand side. Then we mapped those rules to controls, either as controls, either transaction controls, master data controls, or configuration controls. And then if there was an alert, it would trigger an issue to be investigated. What's happened now is we are making the mapping to control section optional within PC12. Let me paint this another way. We previously were able to grab information from a data source, add a business rule to it, assign it to a control, and then the control plus the business rule would be monitored, and if there was an issue, it would be remediated. What we're doing is we're taking quite a lot out of the process, so now it is possible simply to write a business rule against the data source and monitor it. And if something comes up, then it can be raised as an ad hoc issue. But there is no need anymore with version 12 to always have to assign these rules to controls. And the final thing I'm going to mention today for Process Control 12 is the integration to S/4HANA. We now have the cloud connector, so an on-premise version of Process Control can connect and do the analysis of a public cloud S/4HANA environment. So with regards to the process controls and risk management area, we are harmonizing the visuals. We're using Fury where we can, and if we're not using Fury, we're using Fury-like interfaces. The risk management solution provides insight for decision-making at the board, managerial, and operational levels. We're automating risk aggregation activities, both for corporate risks and operational risks. And we've got a lot of enhancements around continuous control monitoring, as already described. This version is targeted to be released on March the 21st, so not very long now. The code base of the release will include SAP Process Control, Risk Management, and Access Control 12. You can see the NetWeaver versions which are required. There will be no data migration steps. It's an upgrade. And configuration changes will be required to deploy selected enhancements. So there are some new features coming where you will need to change the configuration to be able to benefit from the new features. But like I said, there's no data migration required. With regards to looking forward, I think one thing we have to say is that the on-premise side of things at SAP continues to go from strength to strength. We are developing cloud-based applications because that's the direction that a lot of our customers are moving to. But I believe it's going to be a few years before we see the bulk of our customers with the bulk of our solutions on the cloud. So it's right for us to be developing those cloud solutions, and we are enhancing them as we move forward. but we are continuing to develop the on-premise releases. We've got an on-premise release due in the next couple of weeks, and there's planned to be another on-premise release due in 2019. In 2019, we currently have two items to mention. One is the new release. I don't know whether it'll be GRC 12.1 or GRC 13, but the intention is that this will embed a lot more machine learning capabilities, a lot more predictive capabilities within the solution to be able to accelerate decision-making processes. And also it will leverage the GRC API Hub, which I can show you in the next screen. But the API Hub is, again, a cloud-based API framework, essentially, which we will be able to use to be able to plug the GRC tools, both the on-premise and the cloud applications, into other applications, whether other GRC applications or into other other systems as well. So that was a very fast overview of the product. So please, I'm going to open up to questions if you've got any. There's a couple of links here. I think you have access to the presentation afterwards, so you can see more detail. There's several roadmaps available on the marketplace. There's one for access control, a separate one for process and risk, another one for GTS, another one for enterprise threat detection, etc. So a lot of roadmaps available. Thanks very much to Craig for the time today. I think I'm on time, any questions?
Thank you, Chris. That was a very, very comprehensive overview of what's coming, and professional as ever, even when faced with the possibility of not having any slides to present. So thank you for remaining cool. If you do have a question for Chris, please use the chat in your control panel. We do have one question. I think you may have covered this a little bit already, Chris, but will SAP be continuing with its commitment to SAP on-premise for SAP GRC?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up again, because there has been a lot of concern, especially whenever we worked on the cloud IAG product, because essentially that was seen by a lot of people as being a direct competitor to our most successful product, being access control. But there was a very good reason why we did that. We knew we had to start developing cloud-based applications. There are some customers that are going to be cloud only, and we want to build public cloud solutions for those customers, and that is something that's going to be worked on over the course of the next 5 years, 10 years. There is other options for customers, which is to use more a hosting platform, subscription licensing, and effectively use a HEC platform or a partner-managed cloud platform. I know that Turnkey offer partner-managed cloud for a lot of their customers, but that's kind of the hosting of the solution. So essentially, for a customer, it may seem to be a cloud-based environment because there's no maintenance for them. A lot of the administration is off-site for them, but it's not really a true cloud. And but having said that, we continue to develop, as you've seen, the on-premise versions, both 2018 version coming out, and then the plan is for another version coming out just next year in 2019. So I hope that answers any concerns people have about SAP moving all of GRC to the cloud. It's not going to go all cloud just yet. Okay, well, thanks for clearing that one up. So also just on next week and the launch, so what can people expect in terms of how the release will be rolled out from here? I'm not actually sure what the plans are for the release. I think there's just going to be some announcements. There's probably going to be some press about it. But from the 21st, the plan is that that if you want to contact your SAP contact, you should be able to, if you already own a version of access control, process control, you should be able to download the latest version from the software marketplace from the 21st. Okay, that's great. Well, I'm just conscious of time, so I don't think we've got any more questions as well. So we'll move on to conclude the session. So obviously, with a major launch like this, it often leads to new thinking around
roadmaps. And if you can forgive the very quick plug from Turnkey, we can help you map this out over the medium to long term. So we are offering a 1 to 2 day GRC roadmap workshop, to which we'll bring our insight around the new release to help you identify opportunities to leverage the new functionality. The outcome being a high-level GRC roadmap for your organisation. And if you'd like to know more, please email info@turnkeyconsulting.com. If you'd like to talk to anyone at Turnkey about what you've heard today, our contact details are on our website, which is, again, turnkeyconsulting.com. Alternatively, if you're attending one of the upcoming events, we'd love to chat to you there. So it's a very busy week for us here at Turnkey. Tomorrow we're presenting at the SAP User Group's Audit and Security SIG on how to leverage SAP GRC for GDPR. Thursday and Friday we'll be heading over to Amsterdam for the TA Cook Internal Controls and Risk Management Conference. So I believe Chris, you'll be there as well presenting. So be sure to check out Chris's session there. Also plenty more resources available on our website covering all things GRC, risk management and GDPR. So that's the end of the session for today. Chris, thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you to you all for listening, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you.